Mr. Hoback, seconded by Mr. Moore, moves that Bill C-379, an act to amend the Criminal Code, motor vehicle theft, be now read a second time and referred to the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Debate. The Honourable Member for Prince Albert.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, Mr. Speaker, I want to say thanks to a lot of people that were involved in creation of this piece of legislation. The member from Fundy Royal did a lot of work in the background, and I appreciate his guidance and effort in this. He's been a great shadow minister and a great friend, and something that he spent a lot of time on. Of course, the staff and the people within the OLO that helped us out to get it exactly the way we want it. You know, this is a piece of legislation I think all members in this House can actually get behind and go back into their ridings and constituents and say, hey, we're doing something when it comes to auto theft. We're actually going to do something that's going to reduce the number of auto thefts, that's actually going to put the people that are committing auto thefts actually in jail and actually put them where they belong instead of back out on the street where they're actually committing more and more thefts every day. You know, Mr. Speaker, what I'm proposing is basically a very simple process. It's 3 years for a third offense, especially when it's tied to a criminal element like an organized gang or organized crime. So why I say 3 years at 3 and not right off the bat? Well, first of all, we don't want to go after that 16-year-old, 17-year-old who just did something stupid one night and actually went and stole the neighbor's car and went for a joyride. No, that's not who we're after in this situation. They made a stupid mistake. They should be scared. They should be dealt with, or made scared. But we don't want to create a situation that they actually regret for the rest of their lives. But by the time you do your third offense, now you're actually doing something that you consciously know what you're doing. You're actually involved. You're actually part of an organized crime ring or a gang, and you're doing something because you know that's what your career and your choices are going to be. So you need to actually put a dent in when it comes to dealing with these people. So that's what we're doing in this situation, Mr. Speaker, is we're saying on your third offense, you're convicted, you're tied to organized crime, you're going to do at least 3 years, up to 10 years. So there's lots of leeway for the judge to actually do a proper process and actually apply the law and actually get the felons, the thieves behind bars so they don't re-offend. You know, Mr. Speaker, we met with different police chiefs and we met with some police unions. I remember talking to the police union out in Vancouver and Vancouver City, and I want to thank them for their guidance and help in regards to moving forward in this bill. You know, one of the frustrations they had was the fact that people were committing crimes over and over and over again. They would arrest them and then they'd actually be released. They couldn't get the prosecution to actually or the judges to actually put these people in bars. And I know in the riding of Prince Albert, when we do our rural crime watch meetings, you'll fill a hall relatively quickly when you're saying you're going to talk about rural crime, and theft and auto theft definitely comes up in those conversations. And in those meetings, we'll have members from the police force, city police, RCMP, we'll have defense lawyers, we'll actually have prosecutors. It's amazing. We'll have everybody but the judges who are sitting there listening and talking to the constituents and hearing the concerns that they've had in regards to rural crime, thefts, and auto thefts. And you know, one of the things they always say, and the police were saying in the last one we had up at Christopher Lake, was the fact that they kind of know who these people are because it's the same one doing it over and over again. I remember the police officer from Prince Albert basically saying, you know, we know when Cadillac converters are disappearing. We know what they're look, because it's the same guy stealing Cadillac converters off the cars all the time. So they know them, and what frustrates them, they know it. They take the person, they arrest the person, they have all the evidence to put them behind bars, but they don't get the conviction. And that's the frustration that I think a lot of Canadians are facing in their communities and everything else is around that. You know, just some interesting stats around this just to show you how bad it's really gotten. And I'm going to look at from 2015 to 2022. You know, auto thefts are up basically 35% across Canada, 120% in New Brunswick, 190% in Moncton, 59% in Quebec, 105% in Montreal, 122% in Ontario, 122% in Ottawa-Gatineau region, 216% in the Greater Toronto area, 62% in Winnipeg. And if you look at 2021 to 2023 across Western Canada, Atlantic Canada, the Prairie provinces, we're up substantially too. This is something that's going right across Canada. Now, when you talk to people in the sector, they blame the Port of Montreal as being the place where these cars are being stolen, put on containers, and then shipped out into Northern Africa, Middle East, and to a lucrative market. They talk about the fact that it's really created an impact in regards to the cost it has on individuals. Just in Ontario alone, auto theft has added $130 a year to their insurance costs. It's over $1.2 billion in payouts in 2022 alone. That is a substantial amount of money, Mr. Speaker, and that's a substantial amount of pain. And it is impacting people right at home. You know, that mother that has her vehicle stolen, all of a sudden she has now, how's she supposed to go take her kids to daycare? How's she supposed to get grocery shopping? To the guy that wants to go to work, you know, how is that supposed to happen when their vehicle's being stolen? And then we've also heard, and maybe this is something committees want to talk a little bit more about, is the violence that's attached to the auto theft, where they're doing the home invasion to get the keys, or they're doing the carjacking on the street. Maybe there should be even more attached to this type of legislation that would actually penalize these folks when they do that type of conduct in regards to stealing a car. You know, Mr. Speaker, there's lots to talk about in regards to individuals. Everybody has a story. There's a car stolen, I think it's roughly every 5 minutes. There's everybody in this chamber, whether they're sitting here today or not, knows somebody or has had a car stolen in the last few years. You know, I can even refer to the Minister of Justice. He even had his car stolen, and I know he's a really great guy and everything else, but he must have been frustrated when he came out and realized his car wasn't there and he needed to get to his next meeting. And then, of course, the Minister of Emergency Preparedness also had his car stolen. So, you know, this is happening to people right around the board. It's happening at home, it's happening at work, it's happening in a variety of different areas. So it is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Now, by doing this, we're going to take these repeat offenders and put them behind bars. We're actually going to save a lot of people a lot of money over time in reduction in insurance costs. We're actually going to make it safer for these people, or for people around, not to have these people on the street. Because, again, one of the things they're doing when they steal a car is there usually can be a high-speed chase that the police are pursuing it. And we've seen the results of high-speed chases just yesterday in Ontario here, where some innocent people were killed on a highway because of a high-speed chase. And because of the thefts, and in this case, not necessarily a theft, but it was a vehicle theft that was in the background of it. You know, this matter is something that's very important for the people in the riding of Prince Albert. You know, when we look at auto theft in Prince Albert and Saskatchewan, it's not like in Ontario. Ontario, it's theft that's actually being taken, where the vehicle's being shipped, like I said, through Montreal and off to the markets. In Saskatchewan, it's a combination of older vehicles, a combination of vehicles that are being taken for parts. Now, having said that, even the Port of Vancouver is saying that if there's a clampdown on the Port of Montreal, they're starting to see some cars flowing out of Atlantic Canada and Eastern Canada into the Port of Vancouver. So that is also a problem, and it has to be addressed. And that's where we talked about, you know, having the scanners, putting the tools and the instruments, the border guards, putting the resources in place to inspect these containers and make sure that we're clamping down on these individuals and taking away any type of ability to gain profit from the theft of this car or vehicle. So there's lots of things that need to be done, and I know the government had their focus group. They had their big summit on auto theft, and there's some ideas that were in that summit. Well, I think this would have been one of the ideas that would have come out of that summit, where they can actually act on right now. This is a chance for them to actually show some activity. It's a chance for all members of Parliament through a private members bill to participate and actually, like I said, go back to your constituents and say, hey, we're clamping down on auto theft. We're going to do something that's actually going to make a difference. So I suspect every party in this House is going to be supportive of this piece of legislation. It's a very, very simple bill. And, you know, I look forward to the questions they may have for me. I look forward to seeing this get to committee. And if there's any other good ideas that they want to attach to it, I'd be very open to those ideas as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bravo.